Hello there. Hello. Welcome. I'm aLex. It's a short streaming Sunday meditation brought to you from Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube channel and from my home. Every week, I talk for a few minutes just on some themes that are running through my heart, my life, and influencing my meditation practice. And usually my furry friend is nearby, Minnie Mooch. You may see her. If you have an animal, I found this with my cats. My dog was hard to tell because he was quite older, but this kitty and one of my other cats who passed away a few years ago, when I meditate, they tend to join me. Do you find that? They tend to bring the same energy of getting very still, which a cat can be that way a lot of the time anyway, or an older dog. Uh, but they almost seem to join me in the energy of meditation. Okay, I hope you can hear me. Maybe if somebody out there feeling sort of echoey, but I think you are hearing me. It'd be great to see in the chat if you can hear me or not. All right, so today my thought is on peace. I really primarily just want to get into the sit, which will be about 12 minutes. But my thought is on peace and sort of the question of it in seeming conflict with the world, the way the world is. As I've shared the last few weeks, my father recently passed away. He was a West Point graduate, and we just returned from his funeral this week at West Point. I'm not sure how, I guess I just don't see it quite the same way, but there are many who believe that a strong military, a strong defense, is for peace. And you can see I'm a little at a loss for words, for one, a little unprepared because I'm just speaking from what's on the cusp for me here. I do believe my dad believed that, and I believe that that was one of the reasons he was a soldier. He seemed to be born a soldier, as I've reflected on his life a lot and heard so many stories in the last weeks from friends and relatives. And one thought that came to me was, at least from my understanding, there is, and probably something that I am still learning, there is a strong need for boundaries, for my own boundaries. Sometimes that word is overused or just partial to what I'm pointing to. But this sitting practice where we just sit and be quiet and dedicate this time to holding the various things that come and go more lightly in our consciousness, to allow for that possibility that we're defining a boundary, in a sense, by our very being, by this body. This aLex body that's here has a particular boundary, a particular form through time. The words I speak have particular boundaries. The spaces I occupy have particular boundaries. The way we manage our time, that has particular boundaries. All that, as I believe it was Nisargadatta, that's a sage from India, that's attributed to this quote, is, "Let all that comes come, let all that goes go, and see what remains." So, in that recognition and even honoring of boundaries and respecting and celebrating the differences and the temporary expressions that come and go, in also noting and celebrating and recognizing the presence of that which holds all of it, that which precedes it, that which holds it, and that which comes after it, that um, that we tap into something that is the ultimate security, the ultimate peaceful place, the source of it, the never changing source. So, with all the forms, let's take the form of sitting. And I do have a preference for sitting myself. I'm reaching for a tissue. And so as you get your seat set up, and while I have a preference for sitting, you certainly can be lying down, you can be taking any shape of the body that you like, if possible, to allow yourself to be still. Let me grab a tissue here. Allow yourself to be in some form that allows yourself this stillness for about 12 minutes together here. So for me, this form requires some support under my knee. And we'll start with a bell and a bow. And there will be a little bit of movement actually, while even though I spoke of stillness, a little bit of movement in the very beginning that will be an exploration, but also a portal towards settling toward into stillness. Let's begin. As one of my teachers says, have a good journey. You may have already taken your bow. If you haven't, you can join me in bringing your hands together in front of the heart, bowing. Placing your hands where you'd like them to be for your meditation consciously. And the movement we'll start with that will be an assistance to our sitting, just for about a minute or two, will be just a feeling or shifting of the weight from your just ever so slightly to the right sits bone. And that movement might feel kind of big, it might feel really, really small. And then tilt the pelvis so as if you're going to lean toward your pubic bone, as if to lean the pubic bone more toward the ground. So we're delineating a circle on the base of the pelvis, at the base of our seat, and then shifting to the left sits bone, and then circling around back, arcing toward the tail. And if you're watching me, I might not even look like I'm moving, but I feel the movement in my pelvic bones and my side body, even up through my ribs and shoulders. Back to the right sits bone. And if you like, you can go around one more time, or you might change direction and go around back. And all this as we're noticing what's happening at the base of the pelvis, we're also noticing up through the torso, down through the legs. You can be doing this in whatever position you're finding yourself in now. Coming back around. When you get back to the right sits bone, just sort of from that movement, see where you feel center would be. And you might need to add maybe a forward and back as if you're drawing a line between the pubic bone and tail, and then between the left and right sits bone. You may not. You may just sense from that circling those boundaries and where the center is. Peace. There's a feeling in me, a feeling here that perhaps you're also sensing from the bell, from carving out this time and space for our practice, from the feel of my voice, from entering our body through our attention. There might be a feel of peace. Through sensing where our center is, even as we got there through a circle, the perimeter of a circle, and maybe the diameters of the circle. And we can always fall back to pointers and auxiliary practices such as ground, sound, breath, letting ourselves feel the breath deep in the belly, especially as we might at times and maybe often during meditation practice feel anything but peaceful. Use the tools. Yet, as you use the tools and as you simply open the fist of thought, open the hand of thought, As some Zen teachers say, notice that that does not take great effort, if any at all. It's just a shift of attention, shift of perception, where we know the possibility of not holding on to anything so tightly. And if we do find ourselves holding, celebrate that moment because right there, just that awareness, that discovery often lets go of the holding that we may not have been conscious of. And then there can be that seemingly eternal phase of recognizing we're holding, but not having a clue how to let go. And so, can you notice that you're seeing that? And from where are you seeing that? A little tool that helps me is that I label, and these can work for a while, and don't hold on to these too tightly if you have them or use them either. Attention and even consciousness, being conscious of something is still a directing there. It can be soft, it can be, and we can allow that and allow attention and consciousness to receive temperature or obsession or feeling, emotion. But to know that, oh, it almost seems like along the continuum of that, but I think it might be a whole other order, is what we can be aware of in that first sense. It's still on that continuum. But I feel like awareness with a capital A is just this emptiness, this spaciousness, this non boundaried, timeless presence that we actually can sense if we are receptive. that becomes more clear, more palpable as we open the hand of thought. Bowing together. Transition and take a moment to just savor and feel how we make how that feels, how the bows, how you sense it in your body. Perhaps there is some peaceful feeling in your experience now, or perhaps there is lack of that. And in a sense, in the lack of it, we know there's also it in the because of that duality we live in. I was brought up Catholic, and um, I always loved when I would attend church the part where you were asked to turn to your neighbor and say, "Peace be with you." And part of our practice on this path is to sit and cultivate the deep presence, the deep knowing of our presence in body, in life, but also never disconnected from source and from peace. And then, as the Course in Miracles teaches, it is a shift of attention, or a shift and that we might look for, that uh, takes us to truly choose for peace instead of for conflict. Choose for peace instead of for conflict. And so this practice of being still assists us in remembering that, because it's the choice for conflict is a little more wired in us as a protective mechanism, as a survival mechanism. So peace be with you, and thank you for practicing with me here. Thank you for practicing, and because whether you're conscious of it or not, I think our practice emanates out to in circles close and far, like the ripples when you throw a stone into a pond. Thanks for being here. See you next week, and thanks to all of you who join after the streaming. Ciao, ciao.